When my daughters were very little, they started asking for a pet. And in a moment of optimism, or maybe insanity, we got a bunny. We named him Coconut, and everyone was happy, except Coconut. Until I walked into the room and saw one of my daughters holding Coconut by the back legs and shaking him up and down. I froze. Then I exploded. In seconds, I did all the wrong things. I started with the shaming. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Then came the threats. Do we need to give this bunny to another family with nicer little girls? Then came the punishment. Just go to your room. I can't even look at you right now. And then I felt awful. I deeply wanted to be a calm, intentional parent. I was reading all the books, taking the parenting classes, meditating. I was a Montessori teacher with a master's in education and a thesis in emotional intelligence. I should know better. I had all the certifications and none of the skills. I paused and I asked myself, what is she learning right now? Am I teaching her responsibility, empathy? No. What am I modeling right now? Am I being respectful, a good communicator, emotionally regulated? No. I realized I was fostering a dynamic where she messes up and I freak out and she gets the message, Mom loses her temper every time I make a mistake. And that thought crushed me. As a parent, you know the heart-sinking feeling, I'm doing damage here. But for the first time ever, I didn't leave it at that. I realized she's only 4. She's only ever had stuffed animals up to this point. Of course she didn't know how to handle a real bunny. And then I remember that I had mishandled some kittens when I was her age. So I called her back. I got down to her level and I said, you know what? When I was little, I did the same thing. Her whole face lit up. Then I asked, what can we do to take good care of Coconut? She thought for a second and said, I can take Coconut out. I can help you clean the cage. I can feed Coconut. Great. I wrote these things down, and then I apologized for the way I spoke to her. In that moment, I realized she wasn't just learning how to take care of a pet. She was learning how to own a mistake, solve a problem, and recover after a conflict. And I was finally able to model the values I wanted her to embody. That one do-over changed everything for me. I realized I didn't need more parenting information. I just needed a new mindset and a new way to practice what I already knew. The problem is not that we face hard parenting moments. The problem is that we waste them. For the past 20 years, I've worked in the intersection of education and emotional intelligence, helping thousands of parents. And here's what I know. Most parenting advice misses the point. Have you ever wondered why all those great strategies you find in the books, they all go out the window when you need it most? In the heat of the moment, we can't even access them. And have you noticed that all the tips, tools, tricks, situation by situation scripts, they all make us feel like we are playing a game of chess with someone whispering us all the moves, but we never get to master the game on our own. And even when we manage to use some good strategies, it often doesn't work because we throw them at a massive wall of disconnection. When our children are shut down or rebelling, it is impossible to get through them. And in moments of conflict, our family's emotional intelligence is on the floor. We quickly become the angry disciplinarians or the doormats, and our children become the bad kid, and we're instant opponents, making it impossible for us to get to the root of the problem. Another problem is that we focus on managing behavior. How to stop a tantrum, how to get them to do homework. These short-term goals matter. But what we really want is to raise good humans who are kind, confident, emotionally stable. And our misconception is that we think our children will develop these crucial skills eventually, on their own. But how many adults do we know who are not kind, not confident, not stable? Millions. Because these skills don't come with time, they come with practice. We treat challenging moments as something to fix right now, instead of an opportunity for growth. Trying to teach a child how to teach a child in the middle of a meltdown is like trying to teach a drowning person how to swim. It's simply not the time. When two children are playing and fighting over a toy, we take away the toy. But because we didn't teach them anything, the same conflict is going to happen again tomorrow. We would never do that to academics. We get it, that if our child is struggling with reading, it would be useless to take away the book and say, go to your room. What do? We slow down. We review the basics. We give them another shot. We apply time, patience, and daily practice to it. But when it comes to behavior or outbursts, we do the opposite. We shut down and miss the chance to practice. And when we make mistakes as parents, and we yell or we give in, we rarely give ourselves a second chance either. This is where the parenting do-over come in. Because we don't need more parenting scripts or hacks. We need more parenting practice. So how do we go from breakdowns to breakthroughs? The do-over is the deliberate pause to flip the negative thought that creates the breakdowns in the first place. I like to say that the problem is not the problem, is what we think about the problem that is the problem. Let's go back to coconut. My child's mistake was not the real problem. The problem was my thinking. What is wrong with her? This is so mean. Those thoughts made me feel triggered and frustrated, and led me to believe that she needed to be shamed, and drove my decision to punish her. And what was the result? We disconnected, she learned absolutely nothing, and I felt guilty. In that do-over, I simply shifted my thinking. She just needs more coaching. She's only 4. And that new thinking made me feel calmer, made me believe that I could do it again. It drove my decision to do over. My new actions were easy. And what was the result? We reconnected. She learned the valuable skills, and coconut was saved. And when our children misbehave, this same predictable cycle is happening. Behind their behavior are their thoughts, feelings, beliefs, decisions that drives their action. Their action is simply the final step. That's why it's so hard to stop it, because there's so much momentum behind it. And when we only focus on the behavior, we spend time putting out fires all the time instead of catching the arsonist. The do-over is what takes us from reaction to intentional parenting, from the behavior manager role to a mentoring role. And every time that we use this, we're not just fixing or solving one single problem. We are intentionally rewiring our brain's default response. And when we do this enough, something incredible happens. Our children start to guess what we're going to say. And we give them their own social-emotional coach in their heads. What drives me deeply in my core is a childhood memory of me being in our kitchen floor, being asked to kneel down and kiss my mother's feet to apologize for a mistake. My mother was overwhelmed, doing the best she could, but in that moment, I felt humiliated and hurt. And I made the promise to myself that when I am a grown-up and I'm a parent, I'll do things differently. And that's why it was so heartbreaking to hear echoes of that same anger in my own voice. But you see, my angry mother was raised by an abusive father, who was raised by a neglectful mother. This wasn't just my story. This was a toxic generational pattern that I was inheriting. And I now understand my mom. And now I know how hard it is to keep showing up. But the profound truth is, good intentions don't rewrite old patterns. We need to develop new skills and practice a new framework. Because it's not what we know, but it's what we do that makes the difference. And this is what started my journey, not just to understand parenting, but to transform it. For myself, for my children, and for every parent who wants to do better, but don't know how. Many think that a harmonious family is one without conflict. That's a misconception. A harmonious family is one where conflict is the starting point for connection, where everyone can make mistakes, have big feelings, and disagree, knowing that we have the framework to skillfully recover and grow. So my challenge to you is simple. The next time that you lose your temper, give yourself the time out, not your kid. Go change your state of mind, and then practice the do-over. Because everyday parenting failures, they're not just forgivable, but they are the gateway to raising amazing, emotionally intelligent children, and finally becoming the parent we always wanted to be. The generational cycle ends with you. It's time we start to parent on purpose, and we move from reaction to intention. Thank you.